Eamon Javers is at the White House with more on what we can expect out of Switzerland this weekend. Eamon.
And Melissa, everybody's watching those trade talks in Geneva as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent arrives in Switzerland for those talks with the Chinese side. And the president got a lot of attention earlier today when he threw out on social media the idea of dialing back the tariffs from 145% all the way back to 80%. That he said, that seems like a good idea to me. He said it's up to Scott B, by which he meant the Treasury Secretary. Of course, ultimately, in the end, it is going to be up to the president. And that's why I think folks were really focused on what Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said here just a couple of hours ago when she was asked about that comment. Here's what she said.
The president still remains with his position that he is not going to unilaterally bring down tariffs on China. We need to see concessions from them as well. And again, that's part of the reason that Secretary Bessent is going to talk to his Chinese counterparts this weekend to start those discussions in person. As for the 80% number, that was a number the president threw out there, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
So Leavitt saying there the 80% number is just a number that the president threw out there, and we'll see what happens. So not clear if that's an offer to the Chinese or just sort of establishing some expectations by the president or just him floating some ideas. But at this point, we're waiting to see what comes out of the negotiations in Switzerland. And Melissa, I should say also that I did ask Stephen Miller, the White House advisor here a short time ago, whether the administration has any plans for aid or assistance to port workers and truckers who might be displaced by tariffs and lack of trade on West Coast ports coming up over the next couple of weeks. He did not say that they are, but he did point out that in his view, the media is much more focused on that than they were focused on all the workers who lost their jobs from deindustrialization and globalization over the past 25 years, Melissa.
You know, that 80% number, Eamon, is very interesting because a journal was running a story side by side with the story about the president floating that 80% number, saying that the U.S. side is getting set to possibly cut tariffs to below 60%. So it's sort of like, I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. This feels like an administration that is ready to dial back those tariffs, but obviously they don't want to do that unilaterally, as you heard Leavitt just say there. The president said in the Oval Office yesterday, I was in there with him, he said, look, 145% is too high. It needs to come down. The question is, what does it need to come down to? When does it need to come down? Is that before or after any concessions from the Chinese? And then ultimately, if it comes down to 80%, is that a number at which American importers can make money, right? Because if it's not a number at which importers can make money, they won't import. And the political impact of that will be the same, which is empty shelves and consumers getting very grumpy with the White House about those empty shelves.
Yeah, very good point there. Eamon, thank you. Eamon Javers from the White House.